Okay, in example 2, the difference between these and the ones that we did in example 1 is that what's under the radical isn't the same, but we can simplify these to see if, after we simplify them, that we can combine them. So I want to look at radical 45. That is really 9 times 5. 9 is a perfect square. So I'm going to get my pair here. So I'll be able to simplify this radical by taking out a 3 and leaving a 5 underneath. So this one's going to end up being 3 radical 5. I can do the same thing with 20. That's really 5 times 4. 4 is a perfect square, so I get my pair of 2's. But once again, I got to leave a 5 underneath the radical. So that's going to simplify down to minus 2 radical 5. This gives me 3 minus 2 times radical 5, or 1 radical 5. We just write that as radical 5. You don't have to write the 1 out front. Same thing here. We're going to simplify 75. The difference on this one is that we have a 9 out front, so we can't forget to multiply whatever we take out from underneath the radical with that 9. So this is 25 times 3, which gives me my perfect square of 5 and 5. I'm going to have to leave the 3 underneath. But I can't forget this 9. This 9 comes down. It's going to be 9, the 5 that comes from my perfect square, and I need to leave the 3 underneath. I'm going to add to that whatever this is simplified, so I get 25 times 2, my pair of 5 and 5, and I can go ahead and leave, my 2 underneath. So this 2 is going to come with down here. I'm going to multiply it times the 5, and I'm going to leave the 2 underneath. So I end up with 45 radical 3 plus 10 radical 2. So I can't combine anything, so this is my final answer. Couple more examples. Oh, let me erase this. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go ahead and simplify these radicals and combine them. This one's just a little bit different because there's more terms. So 75 is now going to be 25 times 3. So same thing we've been doing. I can take out a 5, leave a 3 underneath. So I get 5, 3, but I can't forget the y. The y has to come down here as well. Minus 2 times, let's see if we simplify this, I get 3 and 9. I get my pair of 3's, but I'm going to have to leave this 3 underneath. So I'm going to take out a 3, leave a 3 underneath. And lastly, oh, and don't forget my y. 48 is really 16 times 3. 16 is just 4 and 4, so I have a pair of 4's here. I have to leave the 3 underneath. Take out my 4 because of the perfect square, leave my 3 underneath, and I still have that y. So I'm going to clean this up. I have 5 square root 3y minus 6 square root 3y plus 4 square root 3y. They all have the same thing under the radical, so I can combine these. So it becomes 5 minus 6 plus 4 square root 3y. So square root 3y is my final answer. Next one, we're going to do the same thing. If I take 2, 2 goes into 108.50 4 times. 2 goes into 54 times, 27 times. Then I have 9 and 3, and this breaks down to 3 and 3. So I have a pair of 2s. I'm going to take one of the 2's out. I have a pair of 3's. I'm going to take a 3 out. I'm left with a 3 that can't, has to stay underneath. And don't forget to bring the YZ down. So that's going to be a 2, a 3 on the outside, and I'm going to have a 3YZ underneath. I want to simplify radical 98 here. So if I break down 98, that's really 2 times 49. 49 is a perfect square, so I get 7 and 7. I can't forget this 3 here, so I got to make sure I bring that down. So I have the 3 from the outside of the radical. I have my pair of 7's. I can take out a 7. I need to keep that 2 underneath along with my Y and Z. And the last one. The last one, I'm going to simplify 75, which is 25 times 3, 5 and 5, my pair of 5's. I have to bring down my 2. So I have my 2. The 3 is going to stay underneath. Don't forget my Y and Z. I have to take out a 5. So my final answer is 6, not my final. My final simplified radicals are 6, 3x or 3yz, 21, 2yz, plus 10, 3yz. I can go ahead and combine these two because they have the same thing under the radical, so I'm going to get 16 3yz plus 21 2yz. I can't combine those, so that's my final answer. I'll do one more. The last example isn't in your homework. I just threw it on the notes as kind of doing something else extra with these. You can go ahead and look at my completed notes for those, and if you have questions, just let me know.